Well, here we are. This is a follow-up to that earlier video I did with the terrible sound using this Mercalli and with a ramble as requested by my dear friend and dearly missed drummer and bud, Billy Rhythm. So I'm just going to go through this bass like I did with the other one, which was the Reverend Justice, which I decided not to buy, by the way, for those of you keeping score at home. I'm not a jazz bass guy. I really never have been. I've owned jazz basses, plenty of them over the years, but they don't kind of hook in my crook the way that Precisions always have. And this is neither, but it does something that I'll talk about in a little bit, that one of the basses that I had did really well. So this, maybe I'll keep, I don't know, maybe I'll sell. If you listen to Bill, of course I'll sell it. So here we are. Let's start right from the get-go. This is a 2015 is the model year, and it is the Reverend Mercalli 4 FM, and the FM stands for Flame Maple, and you can see that it actually is a really beautiful 4A flame maple top on this, and it's a Corinna wood back with a cream binding. Again, I think the fit and finish on both of these basses, it has been excellent. I mean, it's top notch. It's really nice. I've seen Paul Reed Smiths that that go for 3 times more, the basses that are bound, that they don't look any better, certainly, and this maple is gorgeous. So I really like that. For one thing, a lot of the other things are very similar to the Justice bass, but in case you haven't watched that video, I don't know why the hell you would anyway, I'll just go through them. So it is a bolt-on. It's bolted on with 6 bolts, and as you can see, there are 2 other screws in the middle. Those are the neck plate retention screws, so that way when you take these out, the neck plate stays on, so it doesn't go bouncing around. That's kind of a cool feature. Also, the same is the 5-piece maple walnut laminated neck, which is beautiful, satin finish, really nice. You can see the signature on the back, Zach, back at the factory there. Unpainted headstock face, which is nice. You can see the laminations going through. This one, different than the other one, doesn't have the hip shots. It's got the Goto cast cloverleaf tuners. They're pretty light. I mean, comparatively speaking to a big old Schaller or something. They're a little heavier, but they're not super heavy. And as you can see, I mean, when I put this in position, it doesn't go anywhere. That's really all you need. It's not heavy. The bass weighs 8.6 or something like that. 8 pounds 9 ounces. So a little over 8.5 pounds, which is great. This one has a rosewood board that's actually pretty nice. Also got the graphite nut and the truss rod access at the headstock, so you don't have to go unbolting things. Because it's because it's bolt-on, every now and then, any instrument, bolt-on or through neck, needs to have some kind of truss rod adjustment. It's just nice not to have to unbolt it and do the adjustment and then put it all back together and see if it worked. It's a little bit easier to be able to do it this way. And let's see, what else can I tell you about the construction that's cool? The same lockdown bridge, which can be strung through the body, which this one is set up currently that way, or you can string it from the bridge side. It's got the lockdowns, these Allen screws here. Once you have the intonation set, you can screw it down and it locks it in place. It won't be floating around, which is really nice. It's a nice kind of heavy, well built you know, chrome. This is really nice look to it. The intonation is right on. After I adjusted it, I still have to put new strings on it, so I'm going to have to do it all over again. But I'm thinking, you know, if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to put new strings on it to sell it. I don't know. I mean, the strings that are on it are okay. Hopefully this will sound better than the last time I recorded this too, by the way. I don't know if it will or not. But volume master, tone master, and pickup pan between the two pickups. The pickups are great on this too. This is the split brick, which, as you can see, kind of emulates a split precision style, but it puts the E and A string, or the bass side, lower register, closer to the bridge, and the D and G string closer to the neck. I always like that concept. Actually, I've had a few basses that have had that layout, and I actually modified a precision bass to have that layout so that the E and A were closer to the bridge, because it kind of tightens up the sound of the strings that are needing that, and with the D and G being closer to the neck, it kind of rounds those out a little bit. I think it balances it out really nicely, actually. And it doesn't make it so that it's completely sounding like something else other than a P bass. I mean, it still sounds like a P bass. The back pickup is called a thick brick. It looks very much, and kind of is, a Music Man style humbucker, but it being passive and being wound a little bit differently, I'm sure, because of that, it ends up sounding like a more like a jazz bass pickup than those split rails did, actually, shockingly. So when you have this back pickup soloed, it really makes for a very snappy, kind of mid-rangey jazz bass style tone. And that's what I was talking about. This bass does really well compared to others. That it does that PJ setup, even though it doesn't really look like a PJ setup. It really does that a lot like some of those PJs that I had in the past. Great for a slap tone, great for that Motown kind of tone on the front pickup, slap tone together, that kind of honky, jazz bassy tone in the back by itself. It's passive, again, just like the Justice, but there's a lot of tones in it, and it plays really, really nicely. So with the back pickup soloed and the bridge pickup soloed and the tone and volume all the way up, I think it sounds nice and tight. It's good. Yeah, it sounds good. To me, in this room. I don't know what it's going to sound like, again, through to you. So I guess, why am I even doing these videos? I don't know. Just because my friend asked me to. So there you go. That's what kind of friend I am. The front pickup, the split brick, soloed, and the tone all the way up, has the... I mean, that's a classic sounding P-bass sound. That kind of aggressive tone to it, but when you roll it off just a little bit, roll the tone off about 25%. I don't know, I think that's got a really nice sound. Round and full and all of the goodness. If we leave the tone right about there, which is about, like I said, 25% rolled off, and go to the middle so that it's a detent position, which is both pickups full, there's a little bit of a notch in the output, but That's a really good sound. That's a really good tone. I don't know, slippery, funky goodness. I love the finish on the necks. I don't know, it's that satin finish, and it's kind of a vintage tint satin finish. It feels great. It looks great. The obviously the top is gorgeous as well. I don't know. It's a really cool instrument. I'm kind of on the fence about selling it or not. I can't really make up my mind. But even if I do have it for sale, I'm going to play it while I've got it. Yeah, it's pretty slick. So that's the Reverend Mercalli 4. And of course, Mercalli, everyone probably wants to know what does that mean, because they know what justice means, but Mercalli. And I've heard people say, oh, on different YouTube videos, Mercalli. Well, it's not. It's Mercalli. And actually a Italian pronunciation, because it's an Italian name. And Mercalli was a seismologist, and everyone's familiar with the Richter scale, but they're not as familiar with the Mercalli scale, which is actually something he developed to measure the amount of shaking during an earthquake. So, kind of a fitting name for a bass, don't you think? How much earth shaking is going on with your Mercalli 4? Yeah, I love it. It really does play nicely. It's very easy to play. I mean, the neck it's perfect, really, in the sense that the frets are all nice. I laid a straight edge across them, and there wasn't one of them that was out of whack. The edges of the frets are really nicely finished, too, which is, it's Korean made, obviously designed here in the States by Reverend, and the pickups and everything are designed here, but it's made in Korea. But when you think about it, there's probably the majority of the Earth's instruments are made in Korea now, and have been for many years, with Samick and all of them over there. So they know what they're doing, and honestly, this one is a perfect example of that, because there's nothing about this fit and finish wise that speaks to anything other than it being a quality instrument. I think they retailed for I want to say $9.99, like $1,000. I've seen some for sale in the $750 to $800 range that are new old stock, or actually no, a little bit more than that for the new old stock ones. And then any of the used ones. There are not many used ones actually on the market, which is a good sign too for someone who's interested in them, to speaks to their quality. This model was one that they only made for a short time in this color. So to have the honey blonde version of this flame maple is, I'm not going to say rare, but it's rarer than a lot of the other ones that are solid colors and so forth. So there you have it, the Mercalli 4 FM, honey blonde, oh yeah, and just sounds great. It's got the I like it. And I hope you like it too. That's about it from here, from the basement. We'll see you again another time. Ciao.